my Jamaican people, young police officers, people in Jamaica and the diaspora. As you know, when it comes to crime, we're a crime fighter. We're driven to fight crime. And we'll do anything. We believe that crime is not a baby thing or something to do with. When you're fighting crime, there's no compassion because it's a war. You understand? And we take no prisoners here. On Thursday, November 4th, 2021, members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force in St. Elizabeth are upset after a judge named Alvin Smith ordered the arrest of a policeman in his uniform after he failed to appear in the St. Elizabeth Parish Court on Thursday morning. There are reports that members of the force are planning to protest in response to the arrest of their colleagues. Well, at this channel, I do not support the police protesting against the illegal action of this political act. Yes, when I say political act, you know, um, this man is not a lawful officer of the court. Mr. Alvin Smith, whom I refuse to address as a judge, it would be disrespectful for me to call this man a judge when he's a political appointee who has no qualification to be on the bench. This would be like employing your gardener to fly a plane. Your gardener is not trained to fly a plane. So how you gonna appoint your gardener? Say he's the pilot. The plane is going to crash. You understand? Because he don't know how to operate the plane with the various instruments. But Jamaica being the most corrupt island in the Caribbean Sea, our politician can appoint a man who has a degree as a chef. You know, once you have a degree in Jamaica, you can do anything in it. So a man who have a degree as a chef to cook food, you know, he can become a judge, lawyer, anything. Just not by his degree because you have the pirates running the thing down there. You understand? So anyone in Jamaica who has a degree can be appointed who's a chef, can be appointed as a lawyer, a retired soldier as commissioner of police, no certification in being a police officer, but because of political nepotism and the corruption is rampant. So anything goes there. When the murder rate escalated in 2021, the unconscionable, depraved-minded, and wicked Prime Minister, St. Andrew Holderness, praised those tasked to protect the Jamaican people as hardworking and patriots. When I have reported a few weeks ago that the Prime Minister was the biggest con man in 2021 after the death of His Excellency Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, was the cult leader, the big gay king, homosexual king from St. James. I was labeled as a PNP LGBTQ plus activist by some police officers, you know. And guess what? I do not care because I am not beholden to any political parties. I don't want the PNP or the GLP, nothing. None of them. You understand? Welcome to the Jamaica Young Police Channel. We're an experienced detective of the Jamaica Constabulary Force is about to educate you with facts and not propaganda or hyperbole for the government or its minions. I hate criminals with a passion and their supporters. I do not believe that every criminal, I do believe that every criminal must live in fear for their lives, not the law-abiding citizens or as the government has made it is in Jamaica to let the law-abiding citizens afraid of the criminals and not the criminals afraid of the law enforcement officers, as it is done by other governments around the world to make their citizens safe. In Jamaica, it's the opposite. So I'm here to report that the tip of the iceberg is breaking apart. So it's splintered and it's coming downstream. Since 2010, we have seen it's coming from the political establishment who are educated pirates. Yes, educated pirates. And pirates are thieves. And I am saying that proudly with no apology. Yes, pirates who were criminals in the late 17th century. And We still have them in Jamaica, and this is the 21st century. We still have them. Remember that the pirates were criminals, so that makes our politicians pirates of Jamaica. The extradition of Christopher Dudosco, who is a JLP strongman from Tivoli Gardens, Kingston, has angered the politicians on both sides, the PNP and the JLP, who have, for the past 32 years, have been waging a war against the police force and its members, thus causing the exodus of good police officers from the Jamaica Constabulary Force and its auxiliaries. When I was serving as a police officer, the Jamaican Constitution was one of the benefits I'd enjoy as a police officer. Now that now that is out of the window. The war against the police officers and the police force intensified to a higher level like a raging volcano by the Bosse slaves, who are pirates of Jamaica in the Jamaican Parliament. I want you to listen to this audio about an incident in which a judge, Mr. Alwyn Smith, you notice I did not say Judge Smith, I said a judge, Mr. Alwyn Smith. That means I'm not giving him any credence or any respect for him to be a judge. You understand? He was a soldier. You would never see the politician in Jamaica appoint a police officer who was a police officer certified to practice law as a judge. You understand? Because they know that the police officer will be more inclined to uphold the law. You understand? Well, you know it is the Jamaica is everything is the soldier that they put in strategic points. You understand? Strategic position in the society in Jamaica. Mr. Alvin Smith, who was a soldier, a member of the Jamaica Defense Force, who has no experience in the Jamaican courts as an officer of the court, who has no business being a judge, as it is not a, as he is not a legal scholar, but someone who is using a book as a guide to make himself abreast of what is right, legal, and the powers as a judge. When you appoint a pirate to become a judge in the Jamaican court, you cannot expect the pirate to think and operate as an officer of the court. And he's going to be a pirate no matter what is the pirate's qualification. The pirate is still a pirate because the pirate has a predisposition of not liking police officers, as they are the ones who have been investigating and arresting the pirates. So the police officers are the ones who are responsible for arresting the criminals in Jamaica. So what do you expect? When you are through listening to what happened in the court at Santa Cruz Parish Court, St. Elizabeth, I will continue this talk with you today. Listen.
Jamaica Constabulary Force are upset after a judge ordered the arrest of a policeman in his uniform after he failed to appear in the St. Elizabeth Parish Court this morning. There are reports that members of the force are planning protests in response to the arrest of their colleague. Details from Prince Moore.
St. Elizabeth Parish Judge Alwyn Smith has drawn the ire of the Police Federation after he instructed that the constable be handcuffed and taken to court. Mr. Smith yesterday issued a bench warrant for Constable Arnaldo Davis, who is attached to the Santa Cruz police station, after he did not show up for a matter he had before the court. The policeman, who was on leave and resumed duties this morning, appeared in the Balaclava court yesterday, where he had other matters. The court sergeant, Ian Bainbridge, this morning refused to comply with the judge's orders and was cited for contempt of court, which sparked more drama in the court. Other officers escorted the constable to court in handcuffs, where he was offered bail without condition. Chairman of the Police Federation, Corporal Rohan James, reacted in an interview with Radio Jamaica News.
It has dealt a severe blow to the morale of the men and women of the constabulary force, and the Federation will not stand by and allow this abuse to be continued, to be driven from the benches across the courts of this land. Equity and justice must prevail, and proper respect must be observed for the rights of every citizen, and the police is no less of a citizen in this country, and we will not sit by and continue to allow it.
Chairman of the Police Federation, Corporal Rohan James. Prince Moore.
Now that you have listened to the audio from one of the news agencies in Jamaica, I want you to listen to this audio from a police officer who has intimate knowledge about Mr. Alwyn Smith, who is an appointed judge, ordering the arrest of Constable Nando Davis, who was in uniform and was arrested, placed in handcuffs, and placed in the prisoner's dock. Constable Davis, in his uniform, was arrested. Handcuff is placed on this young police officer's hands, which is a breach of the policeman's right on the Jamaican Constitution. I want you to listen what this police officer, who has intimate knowledge of what transpired in the court. Listen, and we'll get back to what happened and why it was done.
All right, let me tell you how it go. This man is an ex-soldier, and he came into the parish the same week when we go up on the reunion. I never meet him till when he come back. He came in the parish, I think it was a Thursday, before we go up on reunion. I didn't meet this man. No, he's an ex-soldier. I come there with him training school. Every time I hear him talk about training school, this training school, that. He want police to stand at attention in a courtroom. He want police stand up with them cap in them hand in the courtroom. Right? Him say who not stand must sit. But whoever stand for have them cap in their hand. When court adjourn, you know, like when they on parade and he say attention, because I see him bodyguard at attention. So he want police to that. Right? Him come to court, most of the time when him say some utterances, it's not before me, it's before my corporal. And she afraid of water like puss. So she know, I'll tell her if a right report give me so I can forward it to the soup. She know want to do it. All right then now. The constable was at our next court yesterday. Me here say, me go take my second job yesterday. So I left there about midday, because I thought it was midday. When me left there, me say him order warrant for the constable, and that he should be brought today in handcuff. So me say handcuff, how are the brother? So me get up this morning and me go to court. I was going to a different court and I diverted and went to that court. Court start, the officer was there. The officer got a lawyer, because when the officer here say he must come in handcuff, I said, but in my uniform in handcuff. He got a lawyer that stood up and was making reference to the case. Officer was standing at the door. He said that the officer should come in. Me and the sergeant, so me escort the officer. And I execute the warrant on him still. It was his station sergeant. She not done him, so she couldn't come in there. So I was him say, the corporal stopped me and I said, no, the constable must come in there in handcuff. So the door was half jar. Somebody tell her, I said, listen to me. In no way, shape or form, I am going to handcuff this police officer in uniform and take him into court. Me hear matter about open the door. Sergeant and he called me. When he called me, he said to me, say, he get to go to a notebook and I read the citation, something. What you can be cited for in court. So he asked me, say for me, I was addressing him, I said no. Him say, is the officer gonna come into court with the handcuff? I said no. He read the citation to me. Me just step out of court. Me don't adjourn the court, you know. But as I said before, for me, second them free that like post. When me look, there's a detective sergeant was there who represent Federation down here. And she go for one handcuff. Some say you really got a handcuff, the police put in there and say, well, it's not what you do or what you're right. Some say, man, handcuff no police. You know? And she go for the handcuff, and ex-sergeant handcuff him and carry the man in a court, in a handcuff. Put the man in a prisoner dock, in a handcuff. Then take off the handcuff with him in a prisoner dock, he turn up the policeman, and a liar come outside and call the news reporter, you know? And say it no look good, it no sound good. One liar named Ian Stevenson, he have for my first name. And he come out there, and he call me, I come back. I say, I'm not going there, make him go away. I'm not going back in there. But from him come here, man, come here with some little attitude, some training school attitude. And I talk about police must do this, police must do that, police must do this. Yesterday, I tell a man in a court, if you sit down, if you think I'm yard him there. So him a go and do one bag of something, I'm going to do one bag of something. But as I say, him not do it before me, because he know me. So the one time he tried before me, he say him have to read something to me, because he knows me not play.
Now that you listen, now that you listen to the sergeant of police who was present in court at the Santa Cruz Parish Court, St. Elizabeth, is the only person in the police force who has a spine and is willing to stand up for the rule of law, norms, and court policies and procedures. And the detective sergeant from Police Federation is a disgrace to the police force, who should not be representing the rank and file members of the police force. That detective sergeant should be outed and should go and find another job, because that detective sergeant doesn't even know her rights as a police officer. So if you don't know your rights, you cannot uphold the rights of others. You understand? In which she has allowed this pirate to abridge this policeman's constitutional rights. The only thing to stop what is happening is robust and decisive actions by the young police officers in the Jamaica Constabulary Force is to find a path to migrate to another country, because the government is willing to show the Jamaican populace, criminal wing, that they, the politicians, have embraced, loved, and protected the most depraved minded people within the Jamaican society, which are the parasites. And you know, from the pirates, there goes the parasites. And you know, the Jamaican politicians are the pirates, and the criminals are the parasites. So one is out there creating havoc and fear in the people's lives, and the other one is to make sure that he creates havoc and psychological problem for the police. The psychological, financial, moral, and demeaning tactics employed against the police force and its members have been intensified by the criminal government, which is the most corrupt government in the history of Jamaica, the Andrew Holiness led government, since the election of Bruce Golding, sad to say, in which most Jamaican, especially in my age group, know that Bruce Golding is the original pirate of the Caribbean. You understand? When you see them make movie about pirates of the Caribbean, Jamaica is the headquarters for the pirates of the Caribbean. What Mr. Alvin Smith ordered the arrest of Constable Davis, who was in uniform, and that he be handcuffed and brought to the court, that he is presiding Mr. Smith's appointment to the bench, was not because of his experiences and qualification as an officer of the court. His appointment is through political connection, nepotism, raw corruption, and because he's one of the pirates of Jamaica right in front of our eyes. Here is another member of the Jamaica Defense Force, and Jamaican young police officers, I want you to listen again. Here is another member of the Jamaican Defense Force who is an appointed judge in the court system of Jamaica because of who he knows and not what he knows. So you don't have to be certified or having a qualification in anything in Jamaica. You understand? Don't be surprised, when you do this return, you be the commissioner of police, because there's no qualification or the things, when you're applying for the jobs, it's outlined the qualifications and experience. That is not a part again for the qualification to become commissioner of police in Jamaica. The qualification is who you know, not your qualification or your certification. So, based on what is happening, these people, they can appoint even, because we have bakers fixing the road in Jamaica. People who bake bread and stuff like that. That's why you see as the rainfall, the road them messed up. You don't have any road. It's like you wonder if it's somebody digged it up. Because if you have bakers that getting contract to fix roads, what you expect? You gotta expect to have good roads. Like when you have the PWD that was, there in the 70s and the 80s, that as a road, like a pothole, they fix it. Everything that the British has left us, as a people. The pirates, that's there now, the pirates, they come and they just keep tearing it down and pretend like they're for an anti-corrupt country and system when all they have been doing is corrupting it more than ever. But I'll elaborate on that later, because everything that this channel is doing, it's about history, showing you what has been what's happening and what is happening and what is about to happen. Forecast. You understand? So everything Mr. Smith is about to address the court, he has to use the judge's etiquette book to help him as he learn on the job. So it's on the job training for Alvin Smith. He doesn't know what he's doing. You understand? Jamaica is one of the most corrupt islands in the Caribbean Sea. And I say that without any apologies. I am a Jamaican by birth. I was born here. Jamaica is one of the most corrupt islands in the Caribbean Sea, headed by this Prime Minister Andrew Holiness. You understand? Of the JLP LGBTQ party. As any person from the Jamaican Defence Force can be installed in the police force to lead an organization that they have no certification, experience, and knowledge of doing. Do you think a police officer, they would take a police officer who retired from the police force to lead the army, and you don't have a rebellion? But that's how it is, because it's pirates of Jamaica, and the headquarters of pirates of the Caribbean is Jamaica. That's where it's at. But that is how it is done there. Not qualified by the experience, but who one knows. That's how it is. St. Elizabeth Parish Judge Alvin Smith drew the area of the police federation that he instructed the police officer to be handcuffed. That is, even the police federation person, that, you know, it just laugh everywhere what he said. But I'll elaborate later. The policeman was on leave and resumed duties. The morning that he appeared in the Balaclava court on Wednesday, where he had another matter. The matter in the Balaclava court supersedes Smith's courts. MC went to the Superior Court, because that's how it is. You have, based on the case, you understand what I'm saying? You have misdemeanor and you have felony. You understand what I'm saying? So if a case is not a felony case, the felony case would supersede an assault or a wounding or an unlawful wounding. So he has to go to the case where the case is more, is supersedes in every way, legally. You understand? So Corporal James, you know, uh, the chairman of the federation, I am really disappointed in him. You understand? I know that this guy, Corporal James, is a political activist. That is how members of the federation operate. And they do not care for the members of the JCF. To date, this man or the federation has done nothing to protect the police officers of the force. And this is what the police federation chairman, what he said is laughable. The chairman's statement and pronouncement are wrong, because the Constitution does not apply to the police officers in Jamaica. Let me repeat, the Constitution does not apply to the police officers in Jamaica. The court cannot force any Jamaicans to give evidence or a statement. But, listen, but a police officer by law is mandatory to give a statement. If you refuse to give a statement, then they can arrest you and charge you with a crime, and you will have a criminal conviction and lose your job. while a 2 times drug dealer, ISAT Buchanan, that is this guy that you're looking at right now, ISAT Buchanan, whilst this guy, who is a drug dealer, he, a 2 time convicted drug dealer, is allowed to practice law in the Jamaican court, and it is the poster child for international drug dealers. Our police officers are being attacked from every angle by the pirates of the Caribbean, Jamaican politicians and their political acts and minions. What the chairman has failed to do and say is that the Jamaican Constitution does not apply to members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force as our citizens and the criminals who have the rights under the Constitution to remain silent. Why the Police Federation does not take the government to court and make it known that our police officers are the only people in Jamaica that the Jamaican Constitution does not apply or protect. Why doesn't it do that? The right to remain silent and not to self-incriminate themselves. The criminals enjoy such benefits, but our police officers do not. In November 1988, as a teenager, I was at the Jamaican Police Academy, Twickenham Park, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, preparing to graduate as a police constable after completing my training as a certified police officer, which this commissioner of police and 2 others lack and do not have any law enforcement certification. Yet, due to political affiliation, Anthony Anderson is leading the police force to show the Jamaican police officers have no rights under the Jamaican Constitution. No police officers escorting any prisoner inside the court in Jamaica, irrespective of how violent the accused is, by law. The police officers cannot handcuff the accused and bring them before the court. Let me repeat, by law, the police officers in the court, they cannot place handcuff on a prisoner, irrespective of what crime they are arrested and charged by law, and place handcuff on them and bring them before the judge. That police officer will then appoint court inquiry because it's the law and policies and procedures of the court. And this judge has breached it. You understand? Imagine a police officer in uniform and is an officer of the court, is handcuffed and treated in this fashion. Any well-decent police officer or former police officer must be upset about this kind of behavior by this judge, who has no business in the court. And it goes to show the utter disrespect, less than an accused person who is arrested and charged for a crime. The judge has shown the common people of St. Elizabeth that not even police officer in uniform have no special privilege or any rights on the Constitution as an officer of the court. What is happening goes to show the war against the police has intensified to a level never before seen. The watchman sees the danger and warns the people. That's why I've been telling the young police officers to find a way to migrate. But the people laugh and jeer at him. So when their blood is spilled and lives are lost, then the watchman is free from blame because he has done his job. I have been warning you police officers for the past 2 years. Try and find a way how to migrate. You understand? To leave the police force. You understand? Find a way. The worst part about it, Chief Justice BRYAN has made no public statement. None. Not a single public statement about the matter of the political act, Mr. Alwyn Smith, who is a judge on the job training, had exceeded his power by arresting a police officer in uniform and treating him like a criminal. His deafening silence is evident because those of us who have served in the Jamaica Constabulary Force know that the government and the courts in Jamaica have no respect for the police officers unless they are corrupt and have connections. We have seen the end results of cases of crooked and corrupted police officers, especially the Gazette ones, who were charged of corrupted deeds by these judges. Also for the Dons in Jamaica, we see have Tesha Miller, and based on what he has told Blackman and his other, but I'll get at that later, sometime later. You understand? And the people know that the court is not a place where justice lives or fear for harm. DELROY Chuck, who is the Minister of Justice, openly support a human cop killer, the late Andrew Pang. And he makes sure that the Constitution does not protect and apply to the police officers in Jamaica. Still, he makes sure, Mr. DELROY Chuck makes sure that the criminals are protected as the Constitution of Jamaica affords every citizen to enjoy. The Jamaica police officers are not evil aliens, but are enemies of the Jamaican people and the Constitution, because that is how the government treated them with various laws that they have enacted and have on the books. You understand? Imagine you're in a job and you're tired every time you want to resign. You cannot resign, you have to give them 6 months. If a man is married to a woman or a woman married to a man, and they feel that they're being used and abused in the marriage and want a divorce, is the husband or the wife give the other one 6 months to leave and then in the house living miserable? No man, eventually, something is going to happen. Because if you're in a marriage and you want to leave, why are you supposed to give your wife or your husband 6 month notice and you still live and doing everything together? That is madness. But this is what they are doing right now in Jamaica. You understand what I'm saying? The Prime Minister, St. Andrew, Holiness, and his cabinet, they make sure that criminals have the rights to remain silent. The Constitution applies to criminals. And St. Andrew Holiness makes sure that happens. Because you have to understand, the pirates have to protect the others, and that's what these people are doing. The police officers by law in Jamaica must write a statement of any and every incident when requested by INT'L, which is an agency that protects the criminals and persecute the police. There's nowhere in the world that you will go where you have an agency that persecute police officers and protect criminals. But but Jamaican government, that's what they have been doing for the past 11 years. The criminals are protected big time and the police are persecuted. And if the police officers refuse to give a statement, then they are arrested and charged with a felony and will be convicted by the courts and end up with a criminal record. But the criminals have the right to remain silent as the Constitution affords. So I'd like to know who is responsible for abridging the police officers' constitutional rights in Jamaica. Jamaica is the only country that persecutes police officers because of the deep-seated hatred for them by the pirates of the Caribbean, which is headquarters in Jamaica. That is how most Jamaicans are. Hate law enforcement officers because of the culture of criminality. ISAT Buchanan, the same poster guy, the drug dealer, ISAT Buchanan, is a two-time convicted cocaine dealer. Somebody who were dealing in drugs, coke. I know it's a coke. When somebody bring coke United States of America, it's predominantly black people. They go in there to sell it up, and it's in black people that they go into poison with this thing. And this is a man, Isaac Buchanan, the twice convicted international cocaine dealer, is one step away from becoming a high court judge. And I want you people to let that sink in. And Isaac Buchanan is an officer of the court in Jamaica. And he's the poster boy in Jamaica for convicted criminals and the pirates as the one whose path the youths must follow. And in the end, they can become an officer of the court and dispense justice. Have you ever seen an honest criminal in your life? I have never seen an honest criminal in my life. But here is a man who has no morals, ethics, decency, conscience, truthfulness, or humanity in him. ISAT Buchanan is an officer of the court. And Mr. Smith would not disrespect him as he did Constable Davis. Because guess what? You will get the wrath of ISAT Buchanan and Blas. I would like to know which pirates in Jamaica ISAT Buchanan have secret for. Because they are the ones who have given him the cocaine to carry as a mule. He was arrested and tried and sentenced to prison, where he spent 10 years of his life in America, in an American prison. And this is the repayment to keep him quiet by making him an officer of the court. So you see, it's really paid to become a criminal in Jamaica. You understand? Judge Alwyn Smith behavior is disgraceful, and beyond his authority. If Constable Davis had demanded or his lawyer demanded that the warrant be shown to him, they would have they would not have it. So they could not arrest him, much less handcuff him in his uniform and brought before one of the pirates of Jamaica, Mr. Alwyn Smith's court, because the bench warrant was ordered the day before, knowing how ineffective, nonchalant, understaffed the court staff is. The warrant would not be ready for it to be executed on the police officer. I know that the warrant would not have been prepared and signed by the pirate, Mr. Alwyn Smith. The only person there who knows what he was doing is Sergeant of Police, who, within his rights, refused to carry out the unlawful order to arrest Constable Davis. The others are lackeys, men pleasers, eye servants, ignorant and blind as a bat, and has no knowledge of their powers as police officers in the court. They should have leave law enforcement and find another career being secretary, waitresses, bus drivers, or office clerk because they are afraid of their own shadow. Spineless. The Detective Sergeant at Federation is a disgrace to the police force. What the sergeant has done, as he had stated, was to adjourn the court on Judge Smith, as he is the one who is in charge of opening and closing the court. I have seen the late Corporal B.B. Atkins adjourn the resident magistrates court at Maypen, Clarendon, when Judge Marsh was getting kind of feisty with the sub officer who was not having it. And he and the team did not return to court that day. The judge's attitude after that was nothing but sterling, respectful, and had a wonderful relationship with the police officers at Clarendon Division. Unlike this judge, who is a political JLP, LGBTQ plus app. Constable Davis, I'm speaking to you and the other young police officers. I hope that you guys are making the necessary preparation to migrate from the pirates, criminals paradise, LGBTQ plus paradise, where the criminals are afforded the complement of the Jamaican Constitution. You guys are not lucky as the criminals who are the chosen ones and the people who the populace emulate, revere, supported, and love. As your lawyer said, the judge should not brought Constable Davis to court in handcuffs. You understand? And he had already made the presentation to the judge that you were in fact in another court. But no, in Jamaica it's a criminal's paradise with the pirates running it. So that is the reason why Alvin Davis is going to get away with his crime of disrespecting you as a police officer and treating you like a criminal. Thanks for watching the Jamaica Young Police channel. Please remember to like, share, click on the bell to get the latest video, and subscribe to the channel. Have yourself a beautiful day. Blessed love. Peace.